Welcome, builders of the internet. My name is Jessa and I work as a quantity surveyor in construction. And today I thought I would talk about how much it would cost to build the new 7 wonders of the world today. As always, you can find my sources in the description.
It's building on my mind.
Quickly before I begin, I'll explain how I got these results. So a few years ago in 2017, the company Travis Perkins produced a report saying how much it would cost to build the 7 wonders of the world. As time has passed since the report was released, I've adjusted for inflation according to the Consumer Price Index for each country up to 2020 on worldbank.org, but it's definitely worth mentioning that I don't know exactly what parameters Travis Perkins based their rates on, and other sites seem to have some vastly different figures. Materials will cost different amounts depending on where you buy them from, how much it costs to transport it to the site, and the cost of hiring people to do the works depends on the minimum wage, the availability of workers, and so on. There are so many parameters that come into play when considering the costs of projects that these figures are very much a rough guesstimate, which would even vary according to which builder that you assign to do the works. Petra at £1.27 million. Petra is in the country of Jordan and was constructed by carving into the red sandstone, hence why there is a reddish tinge to the structures. It was first mentioned in history at about 312 BC, where it was used as a trading post. The city came under by the Greeks and then the Romans, who ruled over it for over 250 years until the 4th century AD, where many of its buildings were destroyed by an earthquake. After this, the Byzantines took control of the region for the next few hundred years, but by the 8th century AD, Petra was pretty much abandoned, only really being used by nomadic shepherds for shelter. In 1812, this lost city was rediscovered, then was eventually labelled as one of the 7 new wonders of the world in 2007. It's unclear how much it originally cost to build this city, but it's estimated to have developed over around 500 years originally. Travis Perkins estimates that it would take only 1 year to build now with modern technologies, which seems a bit ambitious to be honest, but I think it is safe to say that nowadays it would most likely take us less than several hundreds of years. Chichen Itza at £4.5 million. This is a Mayan city in Mexico made up of about 26 ruins. The overall city is thought to have been a religious, military, political and commercial centre with 35,000 residents at its peak. And the main structure that people recognise from this site is the El Castillo, or the Chichen Itza pyramid. This is 4 sides with 91 stairs each, and including the one at the top, this is 365 steps, one representing each day of the year. Depending on the season, the shadows cast by the structure can resemble a snake, which is fitting because there is a serpent carved into the top of the pyramid. This development was estimated to have been built in the 5th century AD from stone and was no longer being used to its original extent by the mid-1200s. In 1526, the Spanish set up a temporary capital here, but the site was later used for cattle ranching activities. In the mid-1800s, after being abandoned by the Spanish for a long time, Chichen Itza became a significant site for architecture, which it still is to this day. Machu Picchu at $16.96 million. This is amidst a tropical mountain forest in Peru, with staircases, ramps, walls and terraces really blending and complementing the natural setting. The development includes over 150 buildings, including baths, houses, temples and sanctuaries. The buildings are constructed using an Inca masonry technique, where stones were cut to fit together without the need for anything like mortar and the like. It's believed that the site was originally built in the 15th and 16th centuries as a royal estate for Incan emperors and nobles, with sections dedicated to farming, residential neighbourhood, a royal district and a sacred area. However, it was abandoned around 100 years later when the Spanish started their conquest in the South Americas. It was then rediscovered in 1911 and today is South America's most famous ruins. Christ the Redeemer at £17.87 million. This statue can be found in Brazil and was built to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of independence. It was a bit controversial deciding on this project because it obviously has very strong religious associations, even though Brazil had officially separated the church and the state. However, this is the project that was granted approval for the centenary celebrations. It's made of reinforced concrete with soapstone outer layers and lots of floodlights at its base to light it up. The construction originally took 9 years to build between 1922 and 1931 and cost about £180,000. This is where it becomes a bit unclear for how much it would cost nowadays, because if you just consider how much dollars were worth back in 1931 compared to now, it would be equivalent to about £3.2 million today. However, Travis Perkins' 2017 estimate gives a figure of £16 million, which is about 5 times the other amount. Perhaps the reason for this could be due to a disproportionate increase in the cost of labour and materials compared to the standard inflation, but either way, to build this statue nowadays would cost millions of pounds. The Taj Mahal at £80.47 million. This is in India and is a huge mausoleum complex which was built to house the remains of Emperor Shah Jahan's beloved wife. It took around 20 years to build this structure, finishing in 1652. It has a combination of Indian, Persian, Islamic influences and is built of white marble that apparently seems to change colour depending on the daylight, as well as being inlaid with many precious stones, including jade, crystal and amethyst. Inside there is an octagonal marble chamber with carvings, more semi-precious stones and a false tomb of the emperor's wife, with the real sarcophagus with her actual remains lying below at garden level. The remainder of the complex is made of red sandstone, including a red sandstone mosque and a square garden divided by long pools of water. At the time it cost around 32 million rupees, and according to some sites that would be the equivalent of 70 billion rupees or approaching £700 million nowadays, which is way more than the Travis Perkins estimate at a measly £80 million. So again, I'd just like to stress that you should probably take these figures with a pinch of salt. Perhaps Travis Perkins believes that it would be cheaper with the use of modern and more efficient technologies to build the structure, or there are a multitude of other reasons for this massive difference. The Colosseum at £406.46 million. This is a Roman amphitheatre in Italy, which was built in less than a decade, ready for opening in AD 80. This was commissioned by Emperor Vespasian as a gift to the Roman people, where the public could enjoy gladiator and animal fights and other types of entertainment. The Colosseum was different to other amphitheatres because it was a freestanding structure made of stone and concrete rather than utilising the hillsides to provide enough support for the seats. There were also some very fancy features such as marble seats and decorative elements, including on the columns. This building was in use for about 400 years, but even by that point the arena had taken a lot of damage from lightning and earthquakes. By the 20th century, a combination of natural disasters, neglect and vandalism meant that nearly 2/3 of the original Colosseum was destroyed, though the restoration of the structure has been ongoing since the 90s and it still remains an incredibly popular tourist site to this day. The Great Wall of China at £58.09 billion. The last and most expensive wonder of the world to rebuild today is the Great Wall of China, which is a series of walls and fortifications spanning over 13,000 miles in northern China. The Great Wall was originally conceived by a Chinese emperor in the 3rd century BC to stop attacks from barbarian nomads, and some sources even say that fortifications included in the wall are dated hundreds of years before this. The wall is made mostly of earth and stone, with the wall ranging from 15 to 39 feet high and guard towers distributed along at certain intervals. The best preserved section was built around 2,000 years later during the Ming dynasty between the 14th to 17th centuries. As many as 400,000 people died in the period of this wall being built, with lots of the workers actually being buried within the wall itself. Nowadays, the best known section, the Beiderling, was rebuilt in the 1950s. Thanks for watching this video. I think you can see that there is a lot of uncertainty with how much it would actually cost to build nowadays, due to factors such as changes of material costs, skills and labour costs and availability. But I thought it would be a fun video to make. Feel free to check out my channel for more content to do with buildings, mental health and sustainability. That's all I have to say for now. I hope it helped build on your mind.
Thanks for watching this channel, it's building on my mind. Check out my other videos, but first hit the bell and comment, like, subscribe. Please, it really helps with the